I just want to thank Andrew for his work. He's been chairman of our departmental board. These days, government departments are structured a little bit like PLCs, and he's played a wonderful role in getting that system launched and providing us with the kind of oversight that we need as a department. And this work, I think, is in part a spin-off from that. As far as the government's concerned, I mean, I'm not giving you a full response here. I mean, we'll be considering his report very carefully. There are a lot of substantial and indeed in some cases rather expensive recommendations, and we'll take a while to respond to that, but certainly before the end of the year. I think probably the starting point is the recognition of how important universities are, both in themselves and to the wider economy. I think we can reasonably claim on the basis of efficiency and productivity that Britain's research base through its universities is the best in the G8. I mean, clearly the Americans do more, but I think on most of the measures of performance and productivity, we come out number one. And in terms of quality, this is reflected, amongst others, in UK Nobel Prize for Physics this year, Peter Higgs, that's the 23rd in physics, and we've had 119 altogether set into the United States. I mean, the quality of the science base in this country is remarkable. What we're trying to do in this department, apart from defending and supporting the science-based, and that has been a battle in a financially constrained environment, but we've remained very committed to it and have ring-fenced that budget, is to try to look at the gap which Britain has between scientific inquiry through to commercial application, because as a country we've been rather less successful in bridging that. We're still, I think, in most of the international metrics, one of the top 5 in the world for university industry R&D, but number 5 is not number 2. Clearly we're relatively less good at that aspect. On the Global Innovation Index of 2013, the UK moves up from 5 to 3rd in world rankings. But the question is, how as a government are we trying to address that problem? I mean, one of the key mechanisms we're using is the development of what we call the Catapult program. This is developing national institutions which provide a bridge between the development of the technology and its industrial application. And not all of these, but many of these are built around university faculties. The first one, advanced manufacturing, had its origin actually in the Sheffield University Engineering Department. It's now a cluster of 7 institutions. I think it's been going for 2 years. It's now regarded as doing really excellent work, which is valued greatly by industry, not just big companies, by SMEs. The offshore renewables catapult is located in the University of Strathclyde, very closely based in it. The cell therapy catapult draws on the work of London teaching hospitals, and the others have that kind of linkages too. I've just come from a session with the Russians. We've had the Russian scientific establishment in town. There's a whole lot of collaborative ventures. And one particular area where we're working closely with the Russians is in space. I mean, parodying a rather complex set of arrangements, we provide the satellites and they provide the rockets. But it is a very, very effective form of collaboration, and it isn't widely known, but Britain is very much a world leader in satellite technology and its industrial applications. And indeed, one of our catapults is based at Harwell, and that is a very good example of industrial and academic collaboration. We've got the European Space Agency there. We've got several very rapid growth companies on campus. De Beers have established the manufacturing centre for synthetic diamonds. And that's the kind of bridge that other countries, the Germans in particular, have been very good at, and which we're now trying to develop here. I mean, I don't pretend for a moment that that these institutions, which have only been operating in most cases for a couple of years, if less, provide we're yet in a position to say whether we've solved these problems, and there's a lot of other aspects to it. The problems of financing companies through the valley of death, as it's called, are still horrendously difficult in the UK. Don't have a proper venture capital market after the dot-com bubble burst. The banks are becoming progressively more, not less conservative. The reason I'm late here, we've just been talking about the British Business Bank and how that can make helpful interventions, but there is enormous problems in company financing. And we're trying a whole lot of other interventions, hopefully, to deal with this question. A little bit upstream from the catapults, we have a collaborative program with universities where we provide 50-50 funding to universities if they match their activities with commercial R&D. And we'll try other things too. But I think the key point which has emerged from Andrew's work is the importance of universities in local growth and the impact on local and regional economies. Now, some of these are well advertised and well known. I mean, Cambridge and the Silicon Fen, as it's called, is a very good example of them. But what strikes me when I go around the country is the importance that universities contribute in areas where you have definitely struggling towns and cities. When I go to, say, Middlesbrough or Wolverhampton, or recently Belfast, what's really good are some of the things that are coming out of the universities, not just as teaching institutions or even research, but actually the contribution that they make to local growth. And sitting in the front row is Professor Wendy Purcell, who's Vice Chancellor at Plymouth, who is actually coming onto our departmental board and has, I think, demonstrated how a university can do this in reality. They have one wonderful program. When we first started the Regional Growth Fund, Plymouth University came forward with a local newspaper with a plan for lending to micro companies in Plymouth. And they were the first people to get this off the ground. It's done enormous work to not just boost the real economy, but the morale of a rather struggling city. And I think it's a very good example of university business interaction. Now, I think what we would hope to see in years to come is that this really gets legs. A key institution to take this forward will be these local enterprise partnerships. These are the replacements for the old RDAs. I don't want to go into that controversy, but we now have a set of institutions which have a genuine local focus and are business-led, and they will soon have a substantial pot of money for local development, and we're decentralising a lot of decision-making to them. 35 of the 39 LEPs have universities on their boards, and that's something we want to encourage. We want to also encourage them to engage with FE colleges too. But the idea of linking up our institutions of learning with business, not just at the big macro national level, but through decentralised local institutions, is an absolutely key part of how we see local growth. So I just want to thank Andrew for his work. I hope I've succeeded in putting it into a sort of wider context. And thank you all for the contribution you're making in different ways to that process. Thank you.